Hi everybody, it's Mr. Poser, your human anatomy and physiology teacher. Our first set of videos for the second semester, for the spring of 2021, is on naming muscles and doing muscle anatomy. So last semester we finished up muscle physiology, where we talked about how muscles contract, why they contract, what else do they do, what are muscles made of, so on and so forth. And these next couple of videos will be solely focused on naming muscles. All right, and as you'll see in a little bit, muscles can have some pretty complicated names, and they're not simple English, so to speak. They're, relatively simple for Latin. If you spoke Latin or you spoke Greek and you were one of the people that, first cut open a human body and started naming stuff, it'd be easy for you. But it's not easy for us because we don't speak Latin typically. Typically, maybe you do. I don't know. So I just want to give you a couple of heads up here before we start analyzing, before we start identifying muscles. First, this video is going to be focused on muscles of the head, the face, the chest, and the back, and abdomen as well. And then in the next video, we're going to be focusing on the anterior and posterior arms and legs. All right, which can be, kind of complicated-ish. So that's why we're splitting it up into two. All right, so here's a couple tips on the way muscles are named. Muscles can be named for their shape, action, position, length, origin, and insertion. Okay, so some of the muscles that we're going to see, they're named on what shape they resemble. Like the trapezius represents, well, what kind of shape? Think geometry here. It's a trapezoid. Rhomboid, as in rhombus. Deltoid, as in a triangle, as in a delta. All right, action. Okay, some muscles are named on whether or not they allow extension or flexion, or a variety of other muscles, or adduction. Adductor longus is another one. And we can name them based on, what do they do? Okay, so do they help to flex? Do they help to extend? Flex, extend, so on and so forth. Their position, latissimus dorsi. Dorsal means, it's near your back. Occipitalis is in your occipital region. Tibialis anterior, it's where by your tibia, and it's on the front of your body. So that's tibialis anterior, is a muscle that belongs there. The length, okay, brevis means short. Longus means, well, long. So the extensor pollicis brevis. Extensor means it extends. Pollicis refers to the pollex. So we're going back to Unit 1 or Unit 2 with our anatomical terms, and brevis means short. Adductor means it adducts, and it's long. Okay, and then finally, some of them are based on origin and insertion, right? So we learned about the mastoid process when we were studying the skeleton, and we learned about, the sternum and the clavicle, right? So there's a muscle called the sternocleidomastoid that originates in the mastoid process and extends down to the sternum and the clavicle. So there you have it. All right, so as I said, we're going to get started here with the first set of terms, and we're going to be doing the muscles of the face and the head. All right, so without further ado, let's get going. So these first couple terms up on here on the head, we'll do these first. We should be kind of familiar with them because they're similar to the names that we have for the bones there. This muscle right here, is called the temporalis. Okay, it's where your temporal bone is. This one right here, you might be able to guess it. It's called the frontalis, as in that's where your frontal bone is, and frontal is the term for your forehead, right? And then back here, I spoke about this one a little bit. This is your occipitalis. Okay, so simple enough so far, right? Temporalis, frontalis, and occipitalis, just like frontal, temporal, and occipital. Okay, now let's get into some of the facial bones here, or excuse me, the facial muscles. All right, you have one muscle that kind of surrounds your eye, and it doesn't exactly keep your eye in place, but it does help to move your eyes around. That's controlled by a muscle, right? Muscles do movement. So this muscle is called the orbicularis oculi. Okay? Orbicularis, it means it kind of like orbits. It goes around. Okay, and oculi refers to the eye. Oculi means, or oculus means eye. All right, down here, let's do a similar one to that. There's another muscle that goes around your mouth and around your lips. That is called the orbicularis oris. Okay, if you remember the anatomical region for mouth, it's oral. So orbicularis oris means it goes around, orbits the mouth. All right, so just a little Latin can help you out. All right, one of the best muscles, the best names for muscles, in my humble opinion, is one near your cheeks, right over here. That helps move your face around and helps you make expressions. It's called buccinator. Okay, if you remember your anatomical region for cheek, it's the buccal region. So the buccinator is one of the muscles that make up your cheeks. Another muscle that makes up your cheeks back here a little bit, you can kind of feel it flex and or when you depress and elevate your jaw. That's done by the masseter. Okay, so that muscle is called the masseter. It helps to elevate your jaw and depress your jaw. All right, lovely. So this next one, let's get into a few of our neck muscles here. Just posterior to the masseter, this is your. Think about what's back here. What's this process called? It's your mastoid, right? So this is your sternocleidomastoid, and this is actually a muscle that's going to appear on several pages of our diagrams here. So your sternocleidomastoid. If you break it down, okay, it's your it inserts in your where your sternum and clavicle meet. So sternocleido means clavicle, and then mastoid. So it goes just like that. All right. Another muscle right behind it, right posterior to your sternocleidomastoid, is called the splenius capitis. Splenius capitis. This is another neck muscle. It kind of extends towards your back, and it's on actually the back muscle diagram that we're going to look at in a little bit. Okay, and at the very posterior of your neck, and it actually makes up most of the posterior portion of your back, or I should say the superior portion of your back. This is your trapezius. Okay, so your trapezius shaped like a trapezoid, right? Oh, there's one more. Okay, the anterior neck. So right here, the muscle that helps you do this a little bit. That is your platysma. Platysma. So there you have it. Here are our muscles of the head and neck and face. All right. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to our next diagram over here. This is our back muscles, and some of these are going to be, well, we just saw a few of these. So let's pick up where we left off, shall we? This is our back of our neck. So right here, we're looking at the splenius capitis again. Splenius capitis. Yeah, there it is again. Okay, so just a heads up on this diagram. Okay, on the left side here, we have more of the muscles that are superficial, and these are more muscles that are deep. So this muscle right here, which is the trapezius, kind of covers these other ones up that we're about to label over here. Okay, so there's your trapezius. You see why it's kind of trapezoidal a little bit? It extends all the way from there to there to there to there. It's almost like a diamond shape-ish. Okay, but I don't know. They thought it was a trapezoid shape, so there it is, trapezius. Okay. Moving on, another muscle kind of like posterior to, or well, not posterior. It's inferior to your splenius capitis. Helps to elevate your shoulders. It's called your levator scapulae. Levator scapulae. So this is another example of a muscle that is named for what it does. It elevates your scapula. Levator scapulae. There it is. It's for shrugging. I don't know. All right, let's keep going. You might be familiar with this one over here, the ones that make up your shoulders. Okay, you work them out when you do shoulder presses. These are called your deltoids. You might have just heard of them as your delts before. And why are they called deltoids? Well, because the Greek letter delta is a triangle. So the deltoids are shaped like triangles. Okay, let's keep it going over here. We have a pair of muscles near the shoulders here that we're going to take a look at. This first one up here, posterior, I keep saying that, inferior to the levator scapulae. This is the supraspinatus. Supraspinatus. Supra, this is the prefix meaning above. Okay, so supraspinatus is another shoulder muscle. And we've got a pair of, well, I believe this might be the same muscle. I'll have to double check that, but it appears twice here on our diagram. This is called, it's below the supraspinatus, so it's called the infraspinatus. Lovely. Okay, so in between the supraspinatus and the infraspinatus, these are some more shoulder muscles here. We got one more, and again, these are all deep to the trapezius. Okay, so if you were to dissect a person and just break open the skin and look at the muscles, okay, you'd mostly just see the trapezius, but you'd have to cut through the trapezius to get to these muscles down here. So just what would this be? It would be deep to the trapezius and inferior to the supraspinatus. This is the rhomboid major. Okay, so rhomboid major. There's also a rhomboid minor, but we're just going to put rhomboid major for our diagram. And rhomboid, as the name suggests, represents a rhombus. Okay, so rhombus, it's like a square shape almost. Okay, I don't know. I'm not a geometry teacher. All right, let's keep going here. We have another shoulder muscle. It's right down here. I think like doing flies might work these out a little bit, but I'm not sure. These are called the teres major, and of course, again, there's a teres minor as well. Okay, but this is teres major. You have one on either side. I'm not exactly sure what it does. Actually, I'll have to look into that. All right, and then finally, you got another big sheet-like muscle near the, what would that be? The inferior portion of your back here in the lumbar region. This is called your latissimus dorsi. Latissimus dorsi, as also known as your lats. Okay, so a lat pull down, right? That's what you're working out when you're doing. Well, yeah, that's why they're called lat pull downs, and they work out your latissimus dorsi. All right, lovely. Let's keep it moving here. Okay, and now we're going to go to our chest, and we have a few, well, chest and abdomen, and we're going to have a few more terms to identify here. Let's keep going. All right, this top one that we've seen up here, we've seen a couple times already. You know, it's a three for one deal here. It's a sternocleidomastoid. Pretty convenient, right? That it's on all three of them, but it's a very significant muscle. Helps move around your head. That's a big deal. All right, and once again, we have our friend the trapezius. Okay, your traps. Okay, your traps are right up here, right? So there's your trapezius. It's a big muscle, and it's shaped like a trapezoid. All right, let's keep going here. If we go a little bit lateral and inferior to the trapezius, we find once again the deltoid. And with this view, maybe you can see why it's called the deltoid a little bit more. You know, it's like here's a side of a triangle, and the other side, it's triangular, right? So we got a pair of muscles. Okay, these are what we know known as your pecs, right? This is your pectoral region. So you got a pair of muscles called the pectoralis major and the pectoralis minor. All right, and so this view once again here, we're looking at the superficial muscle and the deep muscles over here. Okay, so on the right we are labeling the pectoralis major. Pectoralis major. So this is your main pec muscle. And then on the left side, you can see deep to the pectoralis major, you have the pectoralis minor. Okay, I guess that's another naming hint, is that the bigger ones in a pair of muscles are always major, while the smaller ones are minor. Okay, we have a pair of sets of muscles over here, just kind of below your armpit a little bit. Okay, you can kind of feel them. They're like in between your ribs. They, yeah, they help expand your rib cage and so on and so forth. And you know, got to move my box. Okay, these are called the serratus anterior. Serratus anterior, as in it's like serrated, like a knife. Okay, so like a bread knife, it's got those little teeth on it. It's called serrated. So the serratus anterior kind of resemble a serrated muscle. All right, so the serratus anterior. We got two more here, abdominal muscles. Now you have lots of sets of abdominal muscles. You've got transverse abdominis, external, internal obliques, rectus abdominis, but we're going to stick with two. The main two right now. All right, so over on the left here, we're just going to say these are the obliques, okay? Because with this diagram right now, we can't really see the internal oblique, but you do have another set of obliques that are, well, they're below or they're deep to the external obliques, all right? But your obliques, these are kind of the sides of your abs muscles. So if you do like side crunches, you're doing you're working out your obliques. All right, and then finally, your abs. Okay, as they're often called, everybody has them. Otherwise, you'd be like slouching over all the time, and that wouldn't be fun. So everybody has abs. Okay, just remember that. They are called the rectus abdominis. Rectus abdominis. All right. So yeah, you have your rectus abdominis. Rectus means it keeps your body erect, or it stays. It helps maintain posture. So that's what your abs actually do, is they make sure that you can sit and stand up straight, and they don't, you don't just curl over. All right. So that is it. Those are the muscles that we are going to identify in this video. We're going to do the anterior and posterior arms and legs in our next video. Let me know if you have any questions. See you next time.